Bolts Nation, welcome back to another episode of the Bolts Block Party. I am your host, Greg Wolf, joined by my partner, Braden Coburn, and we're excited today to kind of tie in the Lightning Audio Network. I know you guys have seen it this season. You're like, man, I'm seeing all these shows coming at me left and right, and so we decided it's finally time to merge our Lightning Audio Network. So we have brought in Chris Krenn, Gabby Shirley, their new podcast, Into the Blue, now available on the Lightning Radio Network. Obviously, we have Bex and Brooke. What can't I say their names? Brooks and Beckles. Jeez, two guys that I love. Jeez. The Daily Strike with Steve Furstnick with all your news and notes of the day. We've got the Lightning Power Lunch with Greg Linnelli and Martini Mondays now with Chief and Espo. That's one you're definitely going to want to tune in for. But congratulations to you two both. Thank you guys for joining the block party. Give us the lowdown. Why did it take so long for you two to join forces and finally do a podcast? Because I feel like people have been clamoring for it for a while. So what was the finally determining factor?
I mean, we wanted to do it for a while.
We wore our boss down.
Yeah, last season we wanted to start it, but I think we didn't want to start it in the middle of the year.
Sure.
Wanted to get the framework right for it, think of some good ideas, a good name. Took us a while to think of a good name.
Yeah.
A lot of the Bolts Blue, like all that stuff has been used so much. So
Sure.
Was it collaborated or was it one or the other that kind of brought it to the table?
It's neither of us.
Neither of us.
None of us? Okay.
Neither one of them can take credit.
That
Okay.
boss I referenced.
Trent.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yep.
And then, so give us the lowdown. What really, for the fans that maybe haven't tuned in yet, what is the perspective of the show? Is it just more about you guys, about your experiences? What is the insight for Into the Blue?
Well, we definitely have a rundown. 15 minutes, very structured. 15 minutes of Tampa Bay Lightning hockey. We think of some topics just from the week before and or previewing the week ahead.
Yep.
Then we have fan questions, anything
always
that they
great.
want to know, sometimes hockey, sometimes not. Our favorite segment, plus or minus.
Okay,
we
we'll
have
get into
our
that.
plus from the week and our minus, only one allowed. And obviously the minus can't really be Tampa Bay Lightning hockey. Because
I've listened to it. Chris, he breaks the rules. I've listened to it a couple
yeah,
times.
because
He's
he likes
breaking
to
the
do
rules.
multiple pluses and minuses.
I know, it's true. I need to be better. I got better last week's episode. That was good. So.
Yeah, I really like rules.
I mean, that kind of touches on a little bit of with the plus minus. Like you were saying, how do you tote the line with the coaches? I mean, I would love for you to address that.
Yeah, I was just curious because you guys, you do such a great job of covering the team.
Yeah.
But there's always that kind of line. You know, sometimes the team is not doing well and you have to speak the truth. And there's, how do you guys toe that line between positivity and negativity?
I mean, okay, so I guess for starters,
I'm really hard hitting here. Like,
yeah,
I'm
you
going
really
right.
are. I mean, it's a fact, I guess. Perhaps people, if they think they know me, they know this, but I don't like the tough questions because I always put myself in the other person's shoes.
Sure.
And I know it's part of it, but I just feel bad.
Right.
I just feel bad. So because I'm on the team side, I get a little bit of a pass not having to ask tough questions, put someone on the spot, which I love because I don't like doing that. I just don't enjoy it
Fair
at
enough.
all.
The
So-
players appreciate that too.
Oh, I'm sure they do. Find the
I really
good.
like being good cop. I mean, probably I'm a little bit soft in that regard, but yeah, that's how I feel about it.
I try not to call guys out like by name. That's kind of my thing on Twitter. So if someone turns the puck over and then a goal happens, I usually say the Lightning turned the puck over.
Keep
So
it vague.
don't call guys out. Yeah, and then questions. I'm the same as Gabby. We keep it light and we work for the team. So, but last night, should I tell the story about last
Yes,
night?
you should.
So it wasn't anything negative, but so we're recording this after the Carolina win on Tuesday.
Yep.
And the Lightning to this point. The only power play goal they've given up was against Nashville, first game of the season. So they've been perfect on the penalty kill. So I asked John Cooper after the game, I led with, you guys haven't given up a power play goal since the first game of the year. Mm-hmm. And he's like, you had to say it, didn't you?
Yeah.
He said, you had to say
You've
it.
jinxed
And
us
I'm like,
now.
Yeah. So then he gave a good answer and made an effort to give a good answer as he usually does. And then I kind of said under my breath, I was like, well, I hope they don't get scored on in the Sharks game. to Gabby kind of, and he looks up and he said, And I said, I hope they don't score during the Sharks game. And he got a good laugh going for me, and he liked that comment. So that was kind of funny. But so for everyone watching this now, hopefully there was not a power play goal against
not.
the
Yeah,
Sharks.
you're looking for any wood,
Otherwise, Chris is in
any
trouble.
wood to knock on. You're like,
Exactly. I'm getting a good pre-scout going for the coaching staff for tomorrow's game. I got all the Sharks power play info, so maybe slip a 20 to the ref. So we'll see what happens.
Listen, both of you guys are still pretty relatively new to the organization, and I think it would be awesome to kind of get a little insight to both of your journeys of how you got to the Lightning organization, starting where your career's kind of started and what that path has been like for you to get from point A to point B. So, Gabby, let's start with you. I kind of know some of your background with News Channel 8 and the things that you've done, but for our fans that may not know the Gabby Shirley story, why don't you give us the lowdown?
Well, I was born on September 2nd.
There we go. Way back. Okay.
Right from the beginning.
I have always loved sports growing up. And I started my professional career in television news.
Okay.
Purely because there's just more news jobs than sports jobs.
Fair
and
enough.
I needed a job out of school. I was in Evansville, Indiana doing news for 2 years. And then I went to Fort Myers, Florida. Same thing, news at a local TV station.
Okay.
And then I got a job in Tampa at the local NBC station. I applied for a news job because that's all I had ever done.
Okay.
And shockingly, the gentleman that ultimately hired me said, "I love your stuff, but we're looking for a sports reporter." I was like, "Well, I could do that too."
Okay.
It turned into being kind of a hybrid role just based on their needs. So I did some news, I did some sports. I feel like I always think of my boss making a comment that he remembers me coming to like a Lightning practice working for News Channel 8 and saying, "Oh, hey, I just came from a murder in X county, city, whatever." Yeah, I was doing both.
So you literally were covering murders and then covering hockey that same day.
But we
Wow.
all know what I liked better, not the
Well, I would
murders.
hope so. Jeez.
So yeah, I got to know this Tampa Bay Lightning crew pretty well over those 4 years at News Channel 8, and then this spot opened up, and here I am.
So where did you go to school? You
Oh yeah,
said from
I missed that
Indiana.
part.
Yeah, we missed that part.
I'm from Pennsylvania,
Okay.
the Philadelphia area, so I went to Penn State.
Okay.
And you mentioned sports. You love sports growing up. What were your favorite sports?
Did you
what
play
did you play
sports?
sports? Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. I played a club sport at Penn State, so not the real deal, club field hockey. But I played in high school. I played field hockey. In the winter, I did basketball until I realized I was too short. I swam for 1 year. Then I played field hockey in the winter, and I did lacrosse in the spring.
Okay. She did some stuff.
I didn't notice you were short. I think you might have a booster or something you're sitting on there.
Booster, a box. There's always something. I'm even wearing heels, but that doesn't help right now.
So nothing was like no aspirations to be a pro athlete. You just kind of did it to just be involved and kind of.
Honestly, Greg, I felt like if I couldn't be in the NFL, like I might as well just stay connected to the sports world.
Sure.
So again, that was always the goal. I got not derailed, but news I did find interesting.
Okay.
And in local TV news, you move up in like market size. So the bigger the city is
Right.
technically a bigger market, pay goes up.
Right.
So I didn't want to go backwards to get that sports experience because I liked news fine.
Sure.
So when I got to Tampa, it was really, I felt really lucky that I kind of got to do both.
Yeah.
And that led to this.
And what has been so far the crowning jewel moment for you working for the Lightning organization?
I'm cheating. Chris and I actually talked about this a little bit earlier. We got asked a question within the organization, we have a video board. And you put up your picture and answer some fun questions that just rotates. And I'm up there right now, and I got asked a very similar question, and I said everything because it really is like the dream job.
Yep.
I love sports, but from the local news standpoint, I was covering Bucks, Rays,
Yes.
USF, obviously Lightning. You're just everywhere, high school sports.
Yeah.
So I felt like I was always like halfway out, and I never felt like an expert on anything or that I could really put the full 110% because no, I hadn't actually watched the past 10 baseball games. So I always just felt it was tough to really do a great job of covering the teams when you're all over the place.
Yeah.
So here I feel that it's unique from my perspective to be quote unquote an expert and kind of know everything and be there for everything. And then the team atmosphere from top to bottom is awesome.
Love it. Chris, obviously she just mentioned USF. I mean, I know that's because I'm a Bull as well. Go Bulls. But yeah, let's horns up, baby. Let's go through your trek because you also have an interesting lineage, ties with USA Hockey and the Pewter Report. Obviously, she mentioned Bucks as well. But let's get into your journey of how you got from point A to point B.
Yeah, so Pewter Report was my first ever like internship in sports. I think I was a junior in college when I interned with them.
At
so I got
USF?
at USF, got some writing experience, things like that.
Were you in the MassCom?
No, actually, I was in a program they have down at the Sarasota campus.
Okay.
Professional and technical communication was what it was called.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was great though. I loved it. Like the guy who was running it was awesome. Cared a lot about the students. Smaller program.
Yeah.
I think there was only like 30 of us, so very personable. It was great, but. My senior year, I got an internship here as the PR intern. So I did that the 2016-17 season, the 1 year we didn't make the playoffs. So shocked that I got
Tough
hired
luck.
back.
Say damn.
But yeah, so I'm not a jinx. We've made it back. But so I did that for a year, and then that obviously came to an end. I graduated college, and then I went to Columbus, Ohio. I got a graduate assistant job with the Blue Jackets. So that was a year. So I spent a year in Columbus. They made the playoffs that year, lost to Washington in the first round. But it was a fun year. They traded for Panarin. So they had some good players. It was a fun time. Really like Columbus, too. Midwest, Indiana. Like it's a little underrated.
Sure.
Good quality of living.
Indiana,
it's
for the
cheaper.
record.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like I actually really enjoyed my time in Columbus. So I kind of root for them a little bit because it's been tough for them to kind of get some, highly notable guys to stay there. But yeah, I guess I shouldn't say I root for Columbus.
My buddy Mike Todd's the in-game host. I love Mike Todd, but whatever. But anyways, I digress.
So I did that for a year, and then I got a 2-year internship with USA Hockey. It's called the Brian Fishman Internship. So they made this program after Brian Fishman, who worked at USA Hockey and Communications. He passed away from carbon monoxide poisoning in his sleep. So it's a really cool program. I think it was the 20th one. So the first year of it is in Colorado Springs at the national office, kind of doing things with the national teams like World Junior teams and Men's World Championship, things like that. And then the second year is in Plymouth with the National Team Development Program. So the first year, Colorado, got to do some really cool things. I worked the Hlinka Gretzky Cup in Edmonton. I got to work under 18 Women's World Championship in Japan. So that was really cool. Watching hockey in Japan was very interesting.
Dude.
And then
how long were you over there?
Probably about a week and a half, 2 weeks maybe. Yeah, really interesting though. The arena was probably, I want to say maybe 2,000 to 3,000 people.
Small.
And they filled it though. And you go and you watch, and like it's very interesting because the game, everyone in the crowd is just sitting and looking back and forth and back and forth, and it's silent. Like it's silent. The only time the goal gets scored and everyone
like
cheers.
Very
and
polite.
So it's
Very polite.
Yeah, so it was a very cool
Wow.
experience. And then I got to go to Sweden as well for under 18 Men's World Championships, which was awesome. That was a really cool.
Was that the
experience
Ericsson
too.
Globe where we played?
No, the
No.
World
Global
Championships.
Series?
World Championships.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
It was actually in Victor Hedman's hometown, Lawrence Goldsvik. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was at the arena that Moto plays in. The team was crazy. I mean, they lost to Russia in the semifinals to go to the gold medal game. They lost in a shootout, 5-person shootout for IHF. The 5 guys they had shooting were Jack Hughes, Cole Caulfield, Trevor Zegras, Matt Boldy, and Alex Turcotte, and they didn't score a single goal. Lost to Russia. Yeah. So,
Oh man.
they ended up beating Canada in the bronze medal game, so they got the best of Canada that year. But that was a really cool tournament, just a team that was filled with really good players as well. And then went to Plymouth, did the NTDP. I was only there for probably 2 or 3 months.
Sure.
And someone I worked with in Colorado, similar to me now, she was from Boston originally. She worked for the Bruins, then worked for USA Hockey, then moved back to Boston because she missed being home and working for the Bruins. And she called me probably like 3 months into me being in Plymouth and just said, hey, the Bruins are looking for a PR guy in Providence for their AHL team. Would you be interested? I said yes. Interviewed with them, got the job. So then I worked in Providence in the AHL for 3 years.
Jeez.
Yeah, so I've been all over.
been
And then,
I mean,
Air miles are.
I know, right? Logging those
miles.
sky miles, right?
yeah.
Car miles.
Yeah, car miles.
Air
But,
miles. U-Haul miles. There we go.
yeah, but so, no, but I always wanted to move back here. My whole family's here. I have 3 older sisters, 10 nieces and nephews. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
So have you always been a Lightning fan?
Always.
Always been? You've maintained that all the way through all
Oh,
these
yeah.
different adventures and stops you've had?
That's
Working for the
amazing.
Bruins
Starts
was
with your
very,
dad,
very
right?
weird.
Difficult, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, very weird. Like, because they're probably the team I always hated the most, especially after
That's
they won
an
the.
interesting
We got
dynamic.
an undercover spy sending us little.
Yeah, sending some tidbits back. But yeah, no, my dad. So I was born in 1994. My dad, 1992. Obviously, the Lightning started. He
Yep.
had season tickets first year. Went to the very first game. Had season tickets the following year. Then I was born, and season tickets went away. I guess that was
yeah,
a little
real
too
fast.
expensive.
Yeah.
But yeah, growing up, like my dad and I, we'd probably go to, I don't know, 10, 15 home games a year and watch it. It was on the TV every night. So grew up a huge Lightning fan. So it was always my goal to get back here and work for this team. And just to be home too. So it worked out perfect. The job became available and I reached out probably 30 minutes within the job posting
sure.
being up. I was always looking and was lucky enough to get it. And then that's how I ended up back here. It was a little bit or probably halfway through the AHL season. That year is the year we went, and played Colorado in the final. So
Right.
that was my first season here and moving back here. So it's been awesome. It's been everything I
But what
could
I
imagine.
mean,
And you
that's,
play hockey too, right, Chris?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, just beer league. Yeah,
Just beer league. But
yeah.
did you grow up playing? Because you kind of like you coincide with the rise of the Lightning, right? And there was a new group
a whole
of
lot
people.
of rinks.
Well, there's not a whole lot of rinks, and you meet a lot of people here, and they're saying, "Well, I love hockey, but I never got a chance to play growing up."
Right.
Yeah.
You might have got that chance, correct?
I did, yeah. The first reason I actually wanted to play was I watched The Mighty Ducks, and I loved that movie, and I was like, man, I want to try that. And then so I asked my dad, and he said, if you want to play, you can't play baseball, can't do anything else, because it's very expensive, obviously, to play hockey. So got into hockey, started, I think I was probably 8 years old, playing in Brandon, the practice facility, and and I played all the way through high school, then got to college and stopped, but have always played beer league since then. And that's
Coach
pretty much
Bombay,
I'm saying.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, so that was still play every now and again during the season. I don't, because it's just there's too much going on. But during the summer, I'll usually play with some of my buddies, and that's
What
how I
about
got
you,
here.
Gabby? You lace them up?
No.
Okay, fair enough.
No.
I'm not. I mean, you and me both. So I mean,
Well, maybe that's an idea.
I wish I could say
maybe
that I
into the
do,
blue,
but
like Chris teaches
Hey.
Gabby to skate. You know, like I'm just throwing ideas
It'd
out
be
here.
disastrous.
Well, maybe if you try to teach me, maybe we make a contest out of it. Like, who can skate better by the end of the season? You teach me to skate. He teaches her to skate. I'm not good on skates. I'm very uncoordinated, Kobe.
We need you in one piece.
I know,
Yeah, I
it's good.
see you at the games. You're
point.
running around. You're high energy. We
It's a
can't
good
have
point.
you in a
No
wheelchair.
injuries.
Greg
All right, fair
Wolf, the
enough.
wheelchair. He's
Not
just
gonna be
cruising
good.
around.
Listen, I shattered my meniscus actually at a game. What was it? 2016 when we had the game against the Red Wings, and I was walking down the staircase at Section 101 by Fire Stick Grill to come down to Section 101. And I'll never forget it. I had my microphone in one hand, and I had a Victor Hedman big head in the other hand. And I'm walking down the steps, and I see for 2 seconds some people I knew. And for that 2 seconds, I saw them at the bottom of the platform. I took my eyes off of what I was doing, and I misstepped. And my left leg buckled under my right leg, and I literally scrunched down, and I knew immediately as I got up something was wrong. There was a knot in my leg. I hobbled it off, finished the game, by the way.
God.
Warrior.
Finished the game. And then the next day I went to the doctor, Dr. Gutentag, who repaired Stammer's leg, went to his office the next day, and he's like, we need to operate right away. Your stuff is shredded. So, yeah, yes, I have been injured on a game night.
You know,
so.
I have a problem. I fall up the stairs a lot. Like that's my problem. I'm like falling. I miss that step on the way
It
up.
happens too when you're tall. So, but anyways, there was some great intel there. So, you guys have any? I mean, because you are on the road as well. Do you each maybe have an embarrassing or what the hell just happened moment from the road?
I was thinking about this road stories. I can't think of one.
Nothing that was like,
my
what the
head.
hell, or like it was a player interview and like what just happened, or like did he just say that, or none of that, or like something you witnessed, or nothing embarrassing happened to you, like the Franjean story, which will forever live in infamy.
As a player, my biggest fear was always that I was going to miss the plane. You know, like
Okay.
alarm and alarm and alarm.
Sure.
And I've seen different media people over the years, whether it's maybe going out a little bit, having too much fun at night, missing the plane, flying home commercial the next day.
Yeah.
Anything like that?
The paranoia.
Anything that you want to admit to?
I know
Put
that's
you on
the
the
other
spot.
thing. I'm putting myself on the spot here. This, guys. I mean, right? I'm a perfectionist.
We know.
So I mess up the word "the" on camera, and I am torn up about it for days.
The word the.
Like
if you're
something
saying
simple,
right?
you know?
like you trip over yourself.
Nothing
you're-
crazy, not a huge on-air mistake, if you will. I remember my first season. I think it was my first season. Toronto. Gosh, guys, and I have a terrible memory. We were playing Toronto in the playoffs. I had an interview, Jeff Halpern.
Okay.
Things were just like going wrong technically, right? And I try to learn because my coworkers are all really good at it, just
Sure.
to go with the flow.
Yes,
I'm
you have
not
to.
good at it.
Okay.
Things are going wrong. I was nervous and agitated and all these things. Jeff Halpern comes over for an interview. It's not live, although I didn't really know that at the time.
Okay.
Wasn't live. And we are about to go, and the backdrop, right? The beautiful
Yes.
Tampa Bay Lightning just falls.
Okay. Right
And-
before you're going live.
Well, I didn't know if we were live or not.
Okay. Still, but it just drops.
Yes, it just drops. And that was the last straw. And I just said, I'm not doing this, and walked away. And I heard that Halpy also walked away and was like, she's in one. And again, if that was live TV,
Oh my God.
and we just had, that probably wouldn't have been a great look. It wasn't live TV, it was recorded. So it was okay.
I feel like people love that stuff, though.
Oh, because
right?
it shows it's real. Like,
But
things
again,
happen.
guys, that one I was torn up about for months. So
Yeah, but
Was this
again,
playoffs or regular season?
playoffs.
Do you remember that playoff series when the players would walk off into the locker room where you had to do those interviews and they had all the fans like right there in the tunnel?
There was a Corey Perry interview
Yeah.
with fans, and they were screaming, and I thought he was going to go talk to them.
Right walking into the locker room, coming off the ice in Toronto during the playoff series, they had to have, 50 fans maybe more than that, just right
and
by
it was
the
Corey
Lightning
Perry,
locker
so
room.
you know.
Was
And
that
they were-
post game?
Well, it's
Yeah.
all they
Okay.
have the kind of like the suites underneath the stands,
Yes.
right? So they're kind of like that's where they're all in,
They
and we gotta
funnel
kind of
the
make our way
fans.
through to the dressing room.
Okay, so they were just there as part of just the setup, and so you had to deal with that.
And they were giving it to the guys.
Oh,
though.
I'm sure.
Oh, they usually do, yeah.
Yeah. I remember that same series. The only really like weirder road story I have is, well, one thing, Game 7 when we beat Toronto in Toronto. I was coming down from the press box and walking on the event level, and I walked probably as close as Gabby and I are right past Drake. So that was kind of cool.
Oh,
and he was
nice.
very upset that the Leafs had
Oh,
lost.
I'm sure he did.
So
Sorry,
that was
not
kind of
sorry,
funny.
Drizzy.
Yeah, I was so happy. But that
Drake.
same series, I remember that I want to say we had lost a game in Toronto.
Okay.
And we were leaving, and I had walked out of the arena, and I was waiting for our video guy, Gabe, because he was coming. And a Toronto fan had a lot to drink and came up to me and asked me if I had a cigarette. And I was like, no, I don't, man. Sorry. And he had kind of like reached out to touch me, and I kind of like backed up a little bit. He's like, well, why are you backing up? Why are you backing up for? Basically wanted to fight me in that moment. And I was like, I thought I was going to have to throw hands with a Toronto fan in the streets of Toronto.
Nice.
Gabe came out and saved the day.
Yeah.
He came
That
out
would
of
have
the
been a
door.
good look,
like,
like in the
yeah,
media
yeah.
scrum with a
Yeah,
big black
imagine.
guy, fat lip.
Gabe will mess somebody up though. Don't mess with Gabe, dude.
I know,
He's
exactly.
Small,
Yeah,
but
well,
he's fierce.
he came out, and the guy immediately backed down, and
I'm
we
sure
walked
he
back to
did.
the hotel. So
Two
thank God
against
for
one.
Gabe.
What's up?
Yeah. But yeah, that was
Killer.
that series in Toronto was going
Yeah.
back to earlier. That was my favorite, I think, moment so far with the Lightning was beating them in Game 7.
Oh,
in
I'm
Toronto.
sure.
That was awesome.
Just a deflator.
Yeah.
Gabby, I wanted to ask about interviewing guys, and they come off like they're sweating, like it's so hot under the equipment and stuff. Do you ever like get sweat on by guys, or as a player, sometimes I'm like sitting there and I'm talking to you, or we're kind of close quarters, and I'm like, man, I think my breath is really bad. Do you ever think that, or?
Okay, so getting sweat on.
It happens.
I've seen it come onto the microphone.
Correct. I've seen it on TV.
I have never felt it on my hand, and I'm also always freezing, so I always have long sleeves.
Okay.
So maybe like on my blazer
No, it's
sleeve,
it's happened on
maybe.
your mic. I've seen
But
it
I've seen
in
it on the
inter-
microphone, but, like,
dripping from the
it is
chin
what it
hair.
is.
Oh, yeah.
Coming onto the
I want
mic.
to tell Bogo just to give like one of these ones, like just like a wet dog,
They usually have the option to grab a towel, but sometimes it doesn't really work. But Brayden, the second one, the bad breath thing, Chris and I mean, we've talked about this before, that because I'm also getting in your space.
Yeah.
I have dental floss,
Mints.
I have a toothbrush, I have toothpaste, I have mints, I have gum. And I probably, specifically on game days, I brushed my teeth before I came here. I swear I brushed my teeth 10 times.
She's a fanatic.
Because
of
I'm
it.
a little bit
I'm
paranoid.
saying
I'm a
more from the
little bit
player's
paranoid.
perspective. When
Players
you look at the
smell,
player
dude.
and you're like, oh
They
man.
smell.
I'm worried about myself.
Maybe, dude,
I'm
maybe
like,
some
you guys just
Listerine
came
would
off
be
the
great.
ice. You didn't have time to brush your teeth. Like, it's all good.
Listen, I've done some post-game bench interviews, like when you've not been here, and as soon as I'm gonna be real with you, Johansson came and sat next to me during that preseason game, and I was like, "Whoa, dude!" Like, and I get it, like you
Really?
said, yeah, like, but it was just
Because-
But
it's
the gear-
funky,
the
but
gear-
it's
the
like
gear smells. The gear
yes,
smells.
especially
Yeah.
the goalie gear, because again, I know they clean it after the games and stuff, but he's right. Like in a 60-minute game, you're sweating. How much do goalies lose? Like 10 pounds of sweat in a game. So where's it going? Into the pads, into their jersey.
I'm actually surprised. Again, this is my third season. I kid you not, the one time I was like, oh my God, I can't take the smell. We were, I don't even know where we were. Away, we were on the road, away arena.
Was it
and
the
it's because they
bags?
had little kids practicing like in
Oh, yeah,
between.
yeah.
the worst.
I've never actually been that offended by
pros.
your guys' stuff
I
because they
think
keep it.
They keep it
pretty
fresh
good.
as possible. But yeah, little kids gear, oh my God.
Little kids, it
and
was
college and the college club teams that we've had, it's a funny story, at the All-Star in Sunrise this past year, they used the FAU club team to be the stand-in for the practice rehearsals. And that was the stinkiest bunch of people I've ever smelled in my life. Their gear was foul. Like I was like, I can't even be here. I'm going to vomit. It was that bad. So I totally understand what you're saying with that. Okay. Do you guys have any game day like routines or superstitions? You just said you brush your teeth 10 times a game.
Yes,
But are there
true.
certain things that you do every single game? Like it becomes part of your game day routine?
You go first.
The only one I have is I always take the stairs to the press box before the game.
Okay.
For whatever reason. Actually, it's usually just because I always eat ice cream at media dinner.
Okay, so you're working
get
it
the
off.
steps a little bit, yeah. So I always take the stairs. That's the only one I have.
And I don't really have anything crazy, guys, but
Yeah.
again, I'm a little bit paranoid. So
Sure.
there's no, I say fun, but like I'm not taking a break and meeting my friend for
Right.
lunch.
You're
like
working.
I am, even if I am done, even if I've been studying for this game
Yeah.
for 3 weeks, I am at my
You're focused.
computer trying to look up something.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no fun had on game days.
Okay.
Chris, you're up in the press box and you're on the radio. I hear you're on the radio all the time. Phil's up there, and there's everyone has a Phil story. I want to know if you have a good Phil story.
I do. I told this story on Into the Blue recently, so make sure you guys are listening. Comes out
Yes.
every Tuesday.
Plug.
Yes, thank you. So I had long hair last season, and I think the year before that, and my new barber butchered me, so I had to cut my hair short. And I saw Phil for the first time this season, and he gave me a double take like he didn't recognize me. And so he kind of looks at me again. He's like, "Oh, Chris, hi, how are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm great. How are you doing, Phil?" He's like, "I barely recognize you. Your hair is so short now. You look so young." And I was like, "Yeah." It's funny because most people actually told me I looked older with the shorter hair, but he's like, "You look so young." And I said, "Yeah, well, I just turned 29 in August. Like, I'm about to be 30, Phil. I have to,
Yeah.
I got to try to look as young as I can. I'm almost 30 years old." And Phil just looked at me with the craziest look on his face. He's like, 30. I have socks that are 30 years old. So that was,
And that I
was a
believe.
good one.
He is the master of the one-liners like
He
that.
is,
So
man, but
good.
he's been doing it his whole life. Like that's his MO. That's his shtick. That's who he is, man. But
Yeah.
I'm not surprised by that.
I got one more question.
Sure.
So I was thinking about different things to ask you guys, and it's a hypothetical. So there's a major injury on the Lightning, and we have to dress one member of the media for the game.
Oh, I love
Can't be an ex-player.
Okay.
Who's going in from the media side?
Good
Can we
question.
collaborate? From the media
Can't be a former player either.
The options are slim. I mean, it might be me.
It might be.
It might be me. I don't know who else it would be.
Who else has got the experience?
I'm like thinking.
Michigan.
Mish.
You could push Mish on the ice.
Mish, Eric.
Yeah, I mean,
Gabe,
First
Gabe,
Gabe.
I feel like
Breezeman-
Gabe can't skate.
Breezer. Breezer is like the backup goalie, isn't he?
Goalie.
Yeah,
Goalie, but
Breezer.
like
I was-
on the
I was
ice, like,
thinking-
forward or defense. I mean, it would have to be you, bro.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, I
unless
think it
unless
might
Mish
be
is getting
you,
on
too.
on the skates, which
my
I don't
God.
know if Mish skates. I don't. I have no clue.
I would get dummied for a shift. That'd be so bad.
All right, so what about some pointers from you guys for Kobe now that Kobe has expanded his broadcast capabilities, obviously with the Block Party and podcast, Lightning Radio, now Bally Sports Sun. Actually, how was your first jaunt with
debut.
Paul and Dave? I was working the game, so I just came and said hello to you. You look very dapper, by the way, dressed for television. But how was your first experience? And then hopefully these guys can give you some of
Yeah,
their
I had to put
perspective.
the monkey suit
Yeah,
back
man,
on.
you did.
But I didn't know if I have to wear that ever again.
Do you?
But yeah, got to suit up.
The whole nine.
Suit up all
Of
the way.
course.
But it was fun.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing what it's like to work with true professionals. Not you. I'm just
I'll
kidding.
take that.
But,
Thank you.
no,
Thanks. Appreciate it.
I get an opportunity to work with some of the best people, and working with Gabby and Dave Anderchuk, Paul Kennedy, all the people on the production side. It really made the transition smooth and easy for me.
Sure.
And I had a great time.
Look great. What about you guys? You got some pointers for Kobe with his new jaunt into the.
I just have more questions. Did
Good
you
question.
ever think at a point in your career, perhaps at the tail end, that this is what you wanted to do or that you would be doing it?
You know what? I don't know. Probably not. No, I never thought I would probably do this. I loved watching people on television and just seeing their insights. So I was just really excited when I thought about the possibility of sharing my insights and kind of sharing that with people and letting people know how I see the game. And it kind of, when I started thinking more and more about that, and I have fun doing it on the radio, and then the next challenge was, can I do it on TV? It's just a little different medium, and the fact that you have pictures there and kind of analysis and break things down, I just thought it would be a really neat challenge for me.
Sure. Well, I feel like you're always studying. That's the one thing I've heard also from our coaches that have worked with you is the one thing about Kobe is he is a student, whether it's personal things, the game, whatever.
Well, I think we all share, we love the game.
Sure.
Like we all share that. And to be able to communicate that to other people, it's just a kind of a neat thing, because I love hearing what Chris has to say. I love your questions
input,
because I see how you're seeing the game, and it gives me a different perspective on how different people are seeing it. And the same thing when I had the panel with Dave, we'd have a clip, and he would have a different take on the clip than I would.
Right.
You know, and sometimes that's because he's in a different era. Sometimes that's because he was a forward and I was a defenseman. And
Sure.
so it's just kind of neat to see how everyone views
perspectives and all
absolutely.
that, how it all kind of comes together. All right, listen, we're almost out of time. I mean, it's been a great conversation. I know.
feel like we haven't even gotten to half the
I
stuff.
I know, but we have to
Goes
keep
quick.
our time. So like you guys do on your show, you guys do plus minus on Into the Blue. So we have a segment here powered by our friends at Highlight called Fact or Fiction. So I'm going to throw you guys out some questions directed to each one of you individually, and it's pretty simple. Is it true or not? All right, first up.
I have some as well.
Oh.
Well, I have
wow.
one. I have one. I came prepared.
Okay, cool. So, Chris, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
Non-hockey related. USF football will be back to a conference championship contender with Coach Alex Golish within the next 3 years.
That's the easiest fact I've ever heard. I love Coach Golish. Big Coach Golish guy. My brother-in-law's brother lives in Tennessee, so he had all the intel on him coming here before he got here, and he said he's great offensive mind. I think the offense looks awesome under him. Just have to get some
Defense is picking up a
yeah,
little bit.
picking up, and I think he seems like a very personable guy. And I think as he, keeps building the program, get some, not that the players now aren't good, but get some more talented recruiting,
Correct.
And things like that. I think they've shown a lot of promise more than they have in years. So I would say that's
Within
fact.
3 years. That's why I threw the 3 years out there. I'm not looking for immediate. All right. Within the next 5 years, Gabby, you would possibly be snatched up by the NHL Network. 5-year plan.
Oh, God, I'm going to say fiction because I just love it here so
Okay.
much.
All right. That's a good answer. All right, guys, this is for both of you. Fact or fiction? Nikita Kucherov is the most difficult player to get a soundbite from.
Well, I have to say fiction because I actually got to talk to him for like 45 minutes for the written story I did
And he
on
was
him this
great.
summer, and he was amazing.
Okay, but that was for a written
But
story.
it
I'm saying-
was.
right, so that's not the question.
You
What
gotta-
about in season?
You
In
got to
season.
catch him at a good moment.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Good
the question
game.
is
After a
fact or,
hat-trick
hold on. The
or-
question is fact or fiction. He is the most difficult player to get a soundbite from.
I'll say fiction because he's had some great sound bites in his career.
Okay.
One
I
comes
mean,
to mind.
if
after
I'm
the Stanley
going
Cup.
with on the
with your
Tampa
gut.
Bay Lightning roster, I'm going to say fact.
I knew that one was going to be a split. All right. Here's another one, tough one for you, Gabby. There potentially could be a baby Shirley within the next 3 years.
Oh, my gosh. Everyone is talking to me about this topic.
I'm just throwing it out there. If everybody's asking, it must mean people want to know.
God, I guess I would have to say fact.
Chris Krenn was given the title of Hair Boy by the Toronto Maple Leafs fan base.
That's fact. That is fact. Maybe
that
not
was-
the whole fan base, but one fan specifically.
One fan in particular.
Was it because of the haircut, or was there something else involved?
No,
there?
it was just my profile picture on Twitter. I have longer hair, and he just called me Hair Boy. So it was I thought it was hilarious, and it just stuck.
Okay, moving on. Fact or fiction? Gabby Shirley will not eat a sandwich, but will eat a grilled cheese because it's not a sandwich.
Fact.
Fact, but
I
also
don't
fiction.
like sandwiches with the exception of grilled cheeses.
Why? So you don't consider a grilled cheese a sandwich?
I mean, it's just,
just don't like
different.
the lunch
it's
meat.
just different. I don't like the lunch meat. Peanut butter and jelly is too sticky. Like, I'd rather have
Grilled
a million
cheese.
other things.
Okay.
Yeah.
And finally, Chris used to drive a Camaro with T-tops and blast Bon Jovi.
What are T-tops?
The T-tops are like they come off the top, like it's like an old school Camaro where the tops pop
He's
off.
92. He's 92.
94,
Is
94.
there- is that
94,
so?
sorry,
Okay,
94.
Yeah, 94 is still Camaros were out.
I don't know.
Fact, I did drive a Camaro, but
Not the
fiction.
T-tops.
No, not the T-top.
Okay, so we had.
Bon Jovi's not bad, though.
And there we go. All right, guys, listen. Thank you so much, both of you
Can I
guys,
give my
for.
fact or fiction?
Oh yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sorry, you
you're
forgot
cutting
one.
short.
Didn't mean to cut
Yeah,
you
you
off.
cut him
So
off.
this
All
is actually just more trivial, I guess I should say.
Okay.
But so I'd like maybe a round table everyone can guess here. Fact or
Okay.
fiction? Braden Coburn, Tampa Bay Lightning playoff history. All D-men in Lightning playoff history. Braden Coburn ranks 7th all time in games played by a Lightning defenseman
I'm gonna
playoff
say
history.
Fact.
Wow, I don't know.
I'm gonna say fact.
Fact?
Yes. I'm gonna say fact.
Okay.
Should
I
I
feel
just
like
go
I've looked-
fiction to be different?
Yeah.
You can.
Brayden, he was doing his research
Yeah,
on you, I was like, what are you doing over there?
that's a research thing.
Because he
straight
said
up lied.
7th, so
Straight
it's
up
like,
lied.
is he higher than 7? But like that seems like a
Fiction.
legitimate number. I'm gonna say 7 sounds like in the wheelhouse.
I feel like that's not going to last very long if it's true. You know, there's a lot of playoffs in these guys' future coming up here.
I mean,
So I'll say fact, but not for long.
Fiction.
is.
5th.
Woo!
Oh, there we go.
Oh, so you were higher.
5th.
All right.
65
Dang.
playoff games.
Okay, I was close. I knew 7 was in the wheelhouse.
I do have one last trivia question if we can fit it in real quick.
Fit it in.
Braden Coburn, 55 with the Tampa Bay Lightning. There was one other player to win a Stanley Cup with the Lightning, number 55. Who was it?
Daryl Sador.
Nailed it.
knows.
Boom.
Yeah.
He knows his stuff.
Right away.
Come on, man. 2
Yeah.
for 2, Playboy. All right, guys, thank you. It was amazing, again, to have our Lightning radio audio network crew here with us for the Bolts Block Party. We thank you guys also for coming in the clutch because we know Coop gave the boys a day off, so we had a wrench thrown in our system. So
We're here
thank
for
you
you.
guys. We appreciate it. Into the Blue, a part of the Lightning audio network. Again, you guys can download that. All of the specials on there. Obviously, Daily Strike again, Lightning Power Lunch, Martini Mondays, Brooks and Beckles got
Yep.
that one correctly, and of
Good
course
stuff.
the Bolts Block Party, powered by our friends at High Ally. We will see you guys soon right here at Amalie Arena. New Bolts Block Party is coming your way very soon.